I've seen a lot of carpet cleaning pros swear by a cheap, handheld extractor they picked up on sale, only to be left with a hose that quits mid-job or a motor that overheats after a few passes. The regret is real because you end up scrubbing by hand, losing time and money, and you're still staring at a damp carpet that never quite dries. So the question I keep hearing is, does stepping up to a professional-grade machine actually make sense, or am I just swapping one disappointment for another? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In today's review, I'll walk through the Mytee Contractor's special heated carpet extractor and see if it lives up to the hype or if it's just another pricey upgrade that leaves you wishing you'd stuck with the cheap model. First off, the hesitation most buyers feel isn't just about price. It's about the hidden trade-offs that only surface after you've got the unit on the job site. You want something that can handle the rigors of daily use, that won't freak out when you bump it into a wall, and that actually dries the carpet fast enough to keep the client happy. At the same time, you don't want a machine that demands a forklift to move around or a separate generator to power the heating element. The Contractor's special tries to balance those extremes, and the way it does that tells us a lot about who should consider it and who should walk away. Let's start with the big selling point, the built-in heating system. In a typical extraction, you spray hot water, let the carpet soak, then pull the liquid out. Without heat, the moisture can linger for hours, especially on thick pile or in colder rooms. Mytee's unit heats the water as it passes through the pump, which means you're extracting at a temperature that helps evaporate the water faster. In real-world terms, I've watched a crew finish a 500-square-foot office in just under 2 hours, and the carpet was dry enough to walk on within another 30 minutes. That speed can be a game-changer when you're on a tight schedule or need to move furniture back in quickly. But heat also means you need a reliable power source. The machine runs on standard 120-volt outlets, so you don't need a generator, which is a plus for most commercial jobs. The lighted power cord is a small but thoughtful feature. When the cord is properly engaged, a green glow tells you the unit is getting power. I've been in dark basements where that little visual cue saved me from tripping over a loose cord or trying to start the pump only to hear a click and nothing else. It's not a groundbreaking innovation, but it's the kind of practical detail that cuts down on frustration. Mobility is another area where the Contractor's special tries to earn its keep. The locking casters lock into place when you're in the middle of a job, preventing the whole unit from rolling away while you're pulling a hose across a high-traffic area. In my experience, the locks are firm enough that you can lean against the machine without it shifting, yet they release smoothly when you need to reposition. For a contractor who moves from room to room or from one client site to the next, that stability saves a few minutes of readjustment each time. The downside is that the casters add a bit of weight, making the unit heavier to lift onto a truck. It's not a deal-breaker for anyone with a service van, but a small business just starting out with a handcart might find the extra bulk a little awkward. Now, let's talk about the hose connection system. Mytee has made the Extractor Cuff-Lynx ready, which means the vacuum hose you already own can snap onto the unit without needing adapters or custom fittings. In practice, that translates to a plug-and-play experience on the job site. I've seen crews that have to hunt for the right coupler waste valuable minutes, especially when they're juggling multiple machines. The Cuff-Lynx interface eliminates that guesswork. The only caveat is that the connection relies on a snug fit. If you have a slightly worn cuff, you might notice a minor leak at the joint, which can reduce suction efficiency. It's a detail that's easy to overlook until you're in the middle of a job and notice the water isn't pulling as quickly as it should. One feature that often gets overlooked until you actually use it is the water-resistant switch. In a carpet cleaning environment, you're constantly spraying, splashing, and sometimes the hose can backflow. A switch that isn't protected can short out, leaving you stranded on the floor. The Contractor's special switches are sealed against dust and moisture, and I've run it through a couple of rough days where I accidentally knocked water onto the control panel. The machine kept humming, and the switches didn't flicker or shut down. That durability is a genuine comfort when you're working in busy hotels or schools where the floor can